Hello everyone, welcome. My name is MJ Pestridge. Welcome to another P3D video and the continuation of the directory series. In today's video, I've split it up into 3 sections, so might be a bit of a lengthy one, but down in the description box below I've put chapter stops where I've split the video into 3 different sections. So part 1, we're going to be talking about the flight deck or the crew FLIGHTSIM add-ons. In part 2, we're going to be talking about passenger or the cabin side of the add-ons, and then in part 3 we're going to be looking at weather engines. And here's a note, the P3D weather system, there's 3 different weather systems to choose from in P3D. Most sims only offer 1, but P3D offers 3 and is the only simulator to do so. So right, let's get straight to it then. Part 1, we're looking at the flight deck. We're looking at add-ons to go into the crew side of the simulator. Now, bit of a disclaimer here. There is no right or wrong answer here, okay? This is down to personal preference, really. So there's no, this one's better than that one. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically talk about everything, and then you can make up the decision which one you want to do. So for the flight deck, there are, I imagine the number 1 add-on that sort of everybody has is Ground Services X from FS Dream Team, or as it's known as GSX. And basically what that does is it brings a complete crew on the ground at any airport to your plane. So you'll have a marshaller who will bring you in when you land. There'll be a follow me vehicle who will take you to the runway or even to the gate or ramp. You can shack up on any ramp or gate. It comes installed with SOD, and if you're at a ramp and you call for stairs, a sort of default set of stairs will appear as well. So it is a really good add-on, and I tend to find that if you share any files or configuration files for planes and airports, then that's where it tends to get messy and Coaddled seems to crash out. Probably because if you're sharing older files from previous versions and in the latest and greatest update, it doesn't have any specific sort of feature or things have changed, then Coaddled just bugs out and crashes, bringing down the sim, and everybody gives GSX a bad reputation. But actually, it's not true. I find GSX to be very reliable, and as long as you open the aircraft editor yourself, or even the airport editor, and make changes yourself, then actually there's never a problem. Like, I find that it's absolutely fine. There's a level 1 and a level 2, but in part 1 we're only talking about level 1. What else does it give you? It gives you catering and fuel trucks at FS Dream Team airports, and we'll talk more about GSX level 2 in the second part of this video, but that's probably the biggest add-on that everybody uses. Moving on, we have now inside the flight deck, we have voice sets that can be used. Flight Simulator First Officer comes as both a payware and a freeware option. The freeware option basically deals with the default aircraft, whereas the payware option deals with PMDG, FS Labs, Aerosoft and all that. It's a really good add-on, and it introduces a captain and a first officer voice who will go through the checklist with you. If you don't know how to fly a certain plane, then this is probably your best option. to help you get you into the air, where you can then take over and just manage the plane's FMC if that's what you're into, and not have to actually fly it to take off or land, or even set it up or shut it down. It is a really, really good add-on, pretty cheap as well. Does have kind of a twin sister add-on called FS to Crew, which again comes with full voice sets for the pilots as well as ground crew and cabin crew. So we'll talk more about FS to Crew in the part 2, but FS to Crew has a steep learning curve, as well as you can get an FS to Crew all access pack, which will basically give you everything they do. That's crapped out on me basically. Right.
Captain, the GPU is connected.
GPU is connected.
Cockpit
We're now on ground power.
Go ahead.
Please connect the air start unit.
Roger.
And then you can pick and choose which ones you want. Now, I will say that some of them look different than the others because they're all made at different times in different decades. So the UI layout of the menu is very different depending on which version you get. And I will say that some are better than others. In fact, I wouldn't even bother with the Aerosoft one. Aerosoft has its own built-in sort of crew, FS to Crew type thing, and actually works better than the FS to Crew one. So, but FS to Crew is a really good add-on, as is Flight Simulator First Officer, if you really want to immerse yourself with a full crew. As well as that, there is another one called Crew 2019, and this one basically doesn't really give you any interaction, just gives you choices that you set in the menu, and then it is a automated series of voices that just adds another layer of immersion. It totally works with the FS to Crew or Flight Simulator First Officer. It is really fun and really good to immerse yourself in a crew setup in the flight deck. I highly recommend these. Now, moving on, there is another one which we're going to talk more in depthly about in part 2, but self-loading cargo, or its twin sister equivalent, PAX, from TFDI. I don't use PAX, so I can't really rate it. I did use it at the beginning when it first came out, but it was very glitchy and buggy, and I just never went back because self-loading cargo does everything I need. But these are more passenger add-ons, but they do have flight crew voices, which is why I'm mentioning it now. There is a captain and a first officer voice that will announce things to your passengers, to your crew, and you kind of have to manage both the crew and the passengers as well as the plane when using these products. So it's another layer of responsibility and immersion that is actually really quite fun. I have quite a bit of fun when using these add-ons. So moving on to the cabin or the passenger side now with part 2. Again, looking at GSX. So GSX level 2 this time, which basically brings passengers into the sim, as well as aircraft refueling at every single airport. The passenger side can either come from the gate or the ramp with stairs, or even a new feature brought in, which allows for walk-in gates. So GSX FS Dream Team, they're always updating and always bringing new features into the add-on. So it's regularly updated, and like, I find it really stable and really reliable, and I really do enjoy it. I enjoy using it, and I would never swap out or change GSX for any other add-on. It is a personal favorite of mine, to be honest. GSX is a really good add-on. Now, going back to self-loading cargo or PAX, or even FS to Crew now, they do have passenger interactions. So basically, you have to manage passenger expectations, you have to manage passengers' wants and needs, and basically manage the whole aircraft in terms of flight crew and passengers. So it really does bring that captain's feel to the table when you're flying your plane. Like, you really have to, here's what it's like to be a captain in charge of a plane, you know. Self-loading cargo has voice packs that can be added as well. FS to crew, the vocal interactions with the passengers or the crew side of it is totally the pilot sort of, you have to action it. It doesn't just happen. But if you utilize the feature where it's all done on time, so after so many minutes, somebody will come in and give you the ground sheet paperwork and all that. It really is immersive. It really does add another layer of immersion. Highly recommended. And it's another great passenger add-on for P3D. Now, another honorable mention I will mention in this segment is Volanta, Project Fly, Sim Toolkit Pro. All of these are plane tracking software. So you can track which plane you're flying, where you're flying, quite a lot of things. It's really, really good. Sort of to have almost like a pilot's log of everything you fly and where you fly. I do recommend whichever one you choose. Like, they're all really good. Whichever one you choose, make sure it's developed, currently supported. If the developers have basically said goodbye to it and haven't done anything with it, then I don't recommend getting it, simply because if there is an update to the sim maybe, or something changes in Windows and it needs to be addressed. So I just recommend choosing one that is supported. Also, another honorable mention I will say is FS Economy. That is a great little, or a Pilot Life, or Virtual Pilot Life. These three sort of apps or add-ons don't really integrate with the sim as such, but allow you to have a sort of a purpose in flying, you know. So wherever you go, your flight has a purpose. Your flight has a reason and a motivation to keep on flying, really. FS Economy, basically you're buying and selling planes and having to pay for fuel, so all your traveling is done with a legit reason of doing so. A pilot's life, basically you are a captain flying with an airlines, and you have to basically get paid per flight depending on how you fly it, and you have to basically manage your salary. And a virtual pilot life takes you from ground school through flight school into a career mode where you join virtual airlines and you basically earn merits, which you can then use to fly more different planes and obviously get paid for each flight, and you know, end up having to purchase fuels and stuff if you open your own airline. Moving on to part 3 now, weather engines. So, like I said before, P3D has 3 different weather systems to choose from. So, depending on what kind of flying you want to do, will depend on which weather engine you wish to use. For instance, the 3 weather engine systems that are in use here are the True Sky, full True Sky with E8 activated. So you have a full volumetric sky with the barometric pressure dynamic, changing constantly. EA gives the absolute sunlight into the sim of what the sun is intensity in real life and stuff like that. You can even turn volumetric clouds off and have the legacy clouds into the sim, which are 2D textures, and reflections and all that are baked into models. So it's a different, you don't get the volumetric pressure in the sky. It's a static figure at different heights. So it's a little bit harder, I would say, when you're flying up in sort of VFR conditions to accurately set a barometric pressure that can constantly change over, you know, with the weather and like the weather conditions as it does in real life. And if you untick EA, you then basically you can use the sky textures that come as a legacy pack with P3D. So the old sky texture will give you a complete color in the sky, and the sky clouds are textured as well. So you have a complete textured static sky, as opposed to if you're using EA and volumetric clouds, everything's dynamic and everything's live. So you have three different systems there that you can choose. You can choose a complete legacy set where you're using textures. You can use the brand new True Sky full volumetric sky, or you can actually do a mixture of both. Now, there's 5 different weather engines that you got a choice of as well. So not only have you got 3 different weather systems, you now have the choice of 5 different weather engines. So the first weather engine is the default. P3D supports legacy clouds and textures, as well as True Sky and everything it brings with EA. So default basically just gives you a series of profiles to change. So for instance, you don't have to use an actual weather engine. You can just choose a pre-select profile, and it will change it depending on that state. So if you wanted it to be building storms, just click OK and apply the weather change, and then the weather will change depending on what you've selected. Or you can go with an actual weather engine. So there are about, I would say, 3 major players in terms of weather engines. Active Sky is probably the biggest one. It's updated frequently, and it supports both the legacy clouds as well as True Sky. The rival to Active Sky is Skyforce, which has fantastic looking legacy cloud sets and sky colors, probably the best on the market. It also does support True Sky as well. And then there is FS Global Weather, and again, that one is currently supported and developed on, and does support the legacy clouds as well as True Sky. That one handles the sort of transition of the weather probably a little bit better than Skyforce does. Active Sky, again, handles it well as well, but I would probably say FS Global does a really unique job of it. And then, of course, if you're not into wanting to have to pay for one of those 3 weather engines, there is actually a free weather engine called P3DV5. Totally free, doesn't have as load of features, isn't updated as regular as the other 3, but it does work, and it comes with its own weather station set, so you kind of have to replace out P3D weather station set, but it is really good, really fun to use, and doesn't cost you a single penny. So that's the 5 different weather engines with the 3 different weather systems that you can use in the sim. So you really have a lot of choice there on how you'd like to use it. My personal favorite is Active Sky. It used to be Skyforce, but with my new Sky pack that I put together, Active Sky works the best with it, and I do recommend that as the weather engine of choice with Sky pack. Although FS Global Weather and Skyforce do work with it as well. Other than that, that's basically about it. Like, there's no right or wrong answer with the add-ons that you use. It's however you want to manage your immersion in the sim. So it's totally up to yourself, on how you do that. And basically that's it. I'm going to say thanks for watching this series. If you have any questions, next month I'm going to do a Q&A. So if you've got any questions about any of the videos, put your comments in the comments section, or put your questions in the comments section of this video, and I will collate them all together, and in next month I will go through all those questions, and yeah. Basically, that's it. I want to thank you for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.